Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Unleashed. In this episode, I will talk about a very simple but very powerful idea. I will talk about how doing one important thing can change your learning, your work, and your life. This episode is based on a famous book called The One Thing. The author is Gary Keller. This book asks one clear question. What is the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Let me say that again. What is the one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? This question looks simple, but when you really think about it, it can change how you use your time, how you study, and how you build your future. In this episode, I will talk about learning, especially learning English. I will talk about how focus helps you practice better, continue longer, and make faster progress. So let's begin with a problem that almost every learner knows very well. Modern life is very busy. You have work. You have family. You have messages. You have phones. You have many activities every day. When you try to learn English, you often feel this. You open a book. Then you check your phone. You start listening. Then you answer a message. You plan to study for 1 hour, but after 10 minutes, your attention is gone. Many learners think this is a personal problem. They say, I'm lazy. I have no discipline. I'm not serious enough. But the author says something very important. The problem is not laziness. The problem is lack of focus. We live in a world that pushes us to do many things at the same time. We answer emails, we watch videos, we listen to music, we think about tomorrow, we worry about yesterday, and we believe that doing many things at the same time is good. We call this multitasking. It means doing many tasks at the same time. But the book shows something very interesting. Multitasking does not make you faster. It makes you slower. When you try to do many things at the same time, your brain jumps from one task to another. Each jump costs energy. Each jump costs attention. Each jump reduces quality. Let's bring this to language learning. Imagine you are listening to an English podcast. At the same time, you check messages. You look at social media. You think about work. Are you really listening? No. You hear sounds, but you do not understand deeply. Now imagine another situation. You sit quietly. You close other apps. You listen carefully. You repeat sentences. You focus for 20 minutes. Which one helps you more? Of course, the second one. Not because you studied longer, but because you studied with focus. Gary Keller, the author, says that success does not come from doing many things. It comes from doing the right thing again and again. This is the main idea of the book. Not many things, one important thing. Now let's talk about a very common belief. Many people believe that successful people are very busy. They do many tasks. They work all the time. They answer all messages. They attend many meetings. But when researchers study successful people, they find something different. Successful people often have one clear priority. They protect their time. They say no to many things. They say yes to one important thing. In language learning, this idea is very powerful. Many learners try to do everything. They study grammar, they learn vocabulary, they practice speaking, they watch movies, they read books, they use apps, they follow many teachers, they start many courses. And after some months, they are tired. They stop everything. Why? Because they had no clear focus. Now imagine another learner. This learner asks one simple question. What is the one thing I should focus on now? Maybe the answer is listening. So for 1 hour, he focuses only on listening. He listens, he repeats, he improves. He does not worry about grammar. He does not worry about writing. He builds one strong skill. After 1 hour, he moves to another focus. This learner often progresses faster, not because he does more, but because he does less better. The author explains that time is limited, energy is limited, attention is limited. If you try to use your attention for many goals, each goal gets very little. But if you give your attention to one goal, that goal grows faster. This is like watering plants. If you water 10 plants with 1 cup of water, all plants stay weak. If you water one plant with 1 cup of water, that plant grows strong. Now let's talk about goals. Many learners have very big goals. I want to be fluent. I want to speak perfectly. I want to learn 10,000 words. These goals are not wrong, but they are too broad. They are too general. They are too far. They are too unclear. Gary Keller says we must break big goals into one small action. We should not say, how can I become fluent? But we should say, what is the one small thing I can do today to become more fluent? For example, today I will listen to 20 minutes of English. Today I will learn 5 useful expressions. Today I will speak for 10 minutes. This small focus makes learning real. It makes learning possible. It makes learning part of daily life. Now, let me give you a simple story. Two learners want to improve speaking. Learner A says, I will practice everything. He studies grammar, he writes essays, he memorizes lists, but he speaks very little. After 1 year, his grammar is better, but his speaking is still weak. Learner B says, my one thing is speaking. Every day, he speaks. He talks to himself. He records his voice. He speaks with partners. He makes many mistakes. After 1 year, his grammar is not perfect, but he speaks confidently. The difference is focus, not talent, not intelligence, just focus. The author also talks about priority. Priority means one is most important now. He says something very interesting. There is no such thing as many priorities. Let me say that again. There is no such thing as many priorities. There is only one priority. Everything else is secondary. In language learning, this is very useful. At different times, your priority changes. At the beginning, your priority may be listening. Later, your priority may be speaking. Later, your priority may be writing. But at each time, you choose one main focus. This reduces stress. This reduces confusion. This increases progress. Now let's talk about a very common problem. Many learners say, I have no time. But often, the real problem is, I have no clear priority. They spend time on many small things. They check phones. They watch random videos. They open many apps. At the end of the day, time is gone. But no deep learning happened. The author says we must protect time for our one thing. He calls this time blocking. For example, every day from 7 to 7:30, I listen to English. No phone, no messages, no email, only and only English. This small habit can change your life because learning becomes part of your schedule, not something you do when you have time, but something you make time for. So the author gives us a very clear message. Success is not about doing everything. Success is about doing the right thing. Again and again, day after day. In language learning, this means do not try to learn everything at the same time. Choose one main focus. Protect time for it. Practice it deeply and trust the process. Because small focused actions repeated every day create big results. All right, now let's talk about multitasking. As I mentioned, multitasking means trying to do many things at the same time. For example, you listen to English while checking your phone. You read a text while answering messages. You study while thinking about work. In modern life, multitasking feels normal. Many people believe that multitasking makes them faster and more efficient. They say, I can do many things at the same time, so I save time. But the author shows something very important. Multitasking does not save time. It wastes time. When you do many things at the same time, your brain does not really do many things at the same time. Your brain only switches very fast from one task to another. Each time your brain switches, it loses a little energy. It loses a little attention. It loses a little quality. This may not feel serious, but after many switches, your mind becomes tired. Your work becomes slow. Your learning becomes weak. Now, let's look at a simple example from language learning. Imagine you are listening to an English podcast. After 1 minute, you check a message. After 2 minutes, you look at social media. After 3 minutes, you think about a problem at work. You are still listening, but you are not really understanding. Your ears hear the sounds, but your brain does not build meaning. Now imagine another situation. You sit quietly for 20 minutes. You close your apps. You put your phone away. You listen carefully. You repeat some sentences. You think about meaning. After 20 minutes, your brain is tired, but your learning is deep. The time is the same, but the result is very different. Now, Gary Keller explains that multitasking creates an illusion. Illusion means something that looks true, but is not true. Multitasking looks productive. You feel busy. You feel active. You feel important. But in reality, you are doing each task more slowly and more badly. This is especially dangerous for learning. Learning needs attention. Learning needs memory. Learning needs connection. When your attention is broken, learning becomes shallow. Shallow means not deep. It is superficial. You may recognize words, but you do not build strong understanding. Now let's talk about a very common habit of learners. Many learners say, I listen to English while doing other things. They listen while cooking. They listen while driving. This is not always bad. It can help you hear English more. But it is not deep learning. It is good for exposure. Exposure means hearing the language often, but it is not good for practice. Practice needs focus. Practice needs attention. Practice needs silence. If you want to improve fast, you need some moments of single-task learning. Single-task learning means doing only one thing. Only listening. Only reading. Only speaking. No phone. No messages. No music. Only English. Okay, so now we talk about the heart of the whole book. We will talk about the focusing question. This is one simple question that the author believes can guide your work, your learning, and your life. The question is, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? At first, this question sounds long. It sounds a little difficult, but when you understand it, it becomes very powerful. Let's slowly understand what this question really means. First, what is the first thing I can do? This means you are not looking for many actions. You are looking for one action, not 5 tasks, not 10 goals. One clear step. Second, such that by doing it. This means this action must be important, not just any action. It must be an action that has strong effects. Third, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. This is the most important part. It means this one action should make other problems smaller. It should make other tasks easier. Or it should even remove some problems completely. Now, let's bring this to language learning. Imagine you want to improve your English. You have many problems. You want better listening. You want better speaking. You want more vocabulary. You want better grammar. You feel confused. You feel overwhelmed. Now you ask the focusing question. Maybe your answer is, if I improve my listening, my speaking, vocabulary, and grammar will improve. Maybe your answer is, if I improve my listening, my speaking, vocabulary, and grammar will also improve. So your one thing becomes listening. Listening practice. Every day, you focus on listening. You listen slowly. You repeat. You understand. After some months, you notice something interesting. You understand grammar better. You know more words. You speak more naturally. One focused action changes many skills. This is the power of the focusing question. Gary Keller explains that most people live without this question. They wake up. They do what is urgent. They answer messages. They solve small problems. They finish easy tasks. At the end of the day, they feel busy, but they did not move closer to their big goals. This is very common in learning. Many learners do what is easy. They do small exercises. They read short texts. They read short passages. They review old notes. But they avoid the one difficult thing that would really help them. For example, many learners avoid speaking. Yeah, speaking. They say, I will study grammar first. I will learn more words first. I will wait until I am ready. But if they ask the focusing question, they may see the truth. What is the one thing I can do to improve my English faster? Often, the answer is, I must start speaking. even if I make mistakes. This one action is difficult, but it changes everything. Now, let's talk about levels of focus. The author says the focusing question can be used at different times. You can use it for your life. You can use it for this year. You can use it for this month. You can use it for today. For example, you can ask, what is the one thing I can do this year to improve my English most? Maybe the answer is, I will build a daily listening habit. Then you ask, what is the one thing I can do this month to build this habit? Maybe the answer is, I will choose one podcast and listen every day. Then you can ask, what is the one thing I can do today? Maybe the answer is, tonight, I will listen for 20 minutes without distraction. This creates a clear line from big goals to small actions. Many learners fail because they have big dreams, but no small actions. They say, I want to be fluent, but they do not know what to do today. The focusing question connects the future to today. The author also talks about being specific. A good focusing question is not vague. A good focusing question is not too general. For example, you should not ask, what should I do to improve English? You should ask, what is the one thing I can do today to improve my listening skills? The more specific the question, the more useful the answer. Now, let me give you a very practical example. Imagine a learner who wants to improve pronunciation. She has many ideas. She can read, she can listen, she can write. She can study phonetics. She feels confused. Now she asks, what is the one thing I can do to improve my pronunciation faster? Maybe the answer is, I will shadow one short audio every day. So for 1 month, she shadows. She listens. She repeats. She records her voice. After 1 month, her pronunciation is much better. She could not do everything. She did one important thing. The author says something very important. The focusing question is not about doing more. It is about doing less better. This is difficult for many people because we feel safe when we do many things. We feel important when we are busy. But being busy is not the same as being effective. Effective means doing what really matters. In language learning, many learners are busy. They use many apps. They follow many teachers. They start many courses. But they do not improve much because they never choose one main focus. Now, the next point is about discipline. Many people think discipline means forcing yourself to do many things. But the author gives a different idea. He says, discipline means protecting one habit, not many habits, one habit. When this one habit becomes automatic, discipline becomes easy. In language learning, this is very powerful. Instead of saying, I must study everything every day, you can say, my one habit is daily listening. Or, my one habit is daily speaking. You protect this one habit. You do it even on bad days. You do it even when you are tired. After some time, it becomes part of your life. Then you can add another habit. But first, one thing. Jerry Keller, the author, also warns about false priorities. Sometimes we choose the wrong one thing. We choose what is comfortable, not what is important. For example, many learners choose reading because reading is easy. Reading is safe. You can read silently. You do not make mistakes. But maybe speaking is more important. Maybe listening is more urgent. The focusing question must be honest. You must choose what helps you most, not what you like most. This is not easy, but it is necessary. Now let's talk about a very common fear. Many learners say, if I focus on one thing, I will lose other skills. But in reality, the opposite often happens. When you improve one core skill, other skills improve naturally. When you listen more, your vocabulary grows. When you speak more, your grammar improves. When you read more, your writing becomes better. One strong skill supports many weak skills. This is why the focusing question is so powerful. It helps you find the core skill, the skill that supports all others. All right, now we talk about goals and time. We talk about how to use your day, how to use your energy to protect one important thing. Many learners say, I know what I should do, but I have no time. This is a very common problem. People work, they study, they feel tired. At the end of the day, there is no time left for English learning. But Gary Keller says something very honest. The problem is often not time. The problem is priority. We all have the same 24 hours, but we choose different priorities. We choose what to protect, and we choose what to sacrifice. Let's think about a normal day. You wake up, you check your phone, you answer messages, you go to work, you solve problems, you talk to people, you come home, you watch videos, you feel tired, and suddenly the day is finished. Where was your learning time? Often, it never appeared. Not because you had no time, but because learning was not protected. So the author says that if something is important, you must schedule it first, not after everything else, not when you have free time, because free time often never comes. In language learning, this is very important. If you say, I will study English when I have time, you will probably never study. But if you say, every day from 7 to 7:30, I study English, then learning becomes part of your life, not an extra activity, a part of your life. Okay, now let's talk about big goals and small goals. Many learners have big goals. I want to be fluent. I want to speak like a native speaker. I want to work in English. These goals are good, but they are abstract. They do not tell you what to do today. The author says we must work backwards. What does that mean? We start with a big goal. Then we ask, what must I do this year to move closer to this goal? Then, what must I do this month? Then, what must I do this week? Then, what must I do today? This creates a clear path. Let's use an example. Your big goal is, I want to speak English confidently in 2 years. Now we work backwards. This year, I must build a daily speaking habit. This month, I must find a speaking partner. This week, I must schedule 3 speaking sessions. Today, I must practice speaking for 10 minutes. Now your big dream becomes a small action. And small actions are possible. The author also talks about time blocking again, but now in a deeper way. Time blocking. Time blocking means you block time for your one thing. But he says something more. You must block time for your one thing, your planning, and your rest. Because without rest, you lose energy. And without planning, you lose direction. In language learning, this is very useful. You can block time like this. Every morning, 20 minutes for listening. Every Sunday, 10 minutes to plan the week. Every evening, a short review. This does not take much time, but it creates a strong structure. Now let's talk about a very common mistake. Many learners try to study when they are tired, late at night, after long work, after stress. They open a book, they read 2 pages, they feel sleepy, they close the book, and they say, I have no discipline. But the real problem is not discipline. The problem is energy. The author says we must protect our best energy time for our one thing. Some people have best energy in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. You must find your best time, and you must use this time for your most important learning. For example, if you are fresh in the morning, listen to English in the morning. If you are tired in the evening, do not try to learn new grammar. Do something easy like listening again. This makes learning easier. Now let's talk about realistic planning. Many learners plan too much. They say, I will study 2 hours every day. They do this for 3 days, and then they stop. Because the plan is too big. It is not realistic. Jerry Keller, the author, says small plans that you can keep are better than big plans that you break. In language learning, it is better to study 20 minutes every day than 2 hours once a week. Consistency is more important than intensity. This is very important. Now, let me give you a story. Learner A studies 2 hours on Sunday. Then he does nothing all week. Learner B studies 20 minutes every day. After 3 months, Learner B is much better. Not because he studied more, but because he studied regularly. He studied consistently. Now let's talk about protecting your time. The author says that if you want to protect one thing, you must learn to say no. This is difficult because people ask for your time. Work asks. Family asks. Friends ask. Phones ask. If you say yes to everything, you say no to your future. In language learning, this means something simple. Sometimes you must say, "No, I will not watch this video now." "No, I will not check my phone now." "No, I will study first." This is not selfish. This is responsible. You are protecting your future self. The author also talks about balance. Many people think balance means doing everything equally. Work, family, health, learning, rest. But he says real balance does not mean equal time. It means giving time to what is most important now. Let me say that again. Giving more time to what is most important now. At some times in your life, work is more important. At some times, family is more important. At some times, learning is more important. In language learning, this is very helpful. There may be months when you focus a lot on English. This is normal. The important thing is not perfect balance. The important thing is intentional choice. You choose. You do not drift. Now let's talk about a very common feeling. Many learners feel guilty. They say, "I did not study today. I am bad." This guilt is not helpful. The author says we must be kind but firm with ourselves. If you miss one day, it is not a disaster. You simply return the next day. Consistency is built by returning, not by being perfect. Okay, before we finish this episode, let us take a quiet moment together. In this episode, I talked about focus. I talked about multitasking and attention. I talked about one important question. I talked about time, habits, and distraction. But behind all these ideas, there is one simple message. You do not change your life by doing many things. You change your life by doing one important thing again and again. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of English Unleashed. You can leave a comment and let me what your one thing is. You can also share this podcast with a friend who is learning English. Until next time, take care of yourself, protect your focus, and remember, you are not only learning English. You are building your future. Bye for now.